The markets are closed, but the business stories are just heating up. Hello, I'm Mai Rodriguez. Catch up with us on Business Brief. Asian shares are mixed as higher than expected U.S. producer prices dampens hopes for a jumbo rate cut by the Federal Reserve in September. South Korea's Kospi is closed today in observance of Liberation Day. Japan's Nikkei, China's Shanghai Composite, and Australia's ASX are trading higher, while Hong Kong's Hang Seng and Singapore's Straits Times are lower. In the currency markets, the Australian dollar appreciates against the U.S. dollar, while the greenback depreciates against Asian currencies. In commodities, gold prices rise by 0.2%, while oil prices are mixed. In the crypto space, Bitcoin rises by almost 0.7%, while Ethereum adds nearly 2%. Cash remittances to the Philippines rose to $2.99 billion in June. Data from the Bangko Sentral show this was 3.7% higher than the $2.88 billion recorded in June 2024. The increase was driven by faster growth in remittances from land-based overseas Filipinos compared to sea-based workers. President Bongbong Marcos witnesses firsthand anomalies in at least one flood control project in Bulacan. He inspected the rehabilitation of the river protection structure in Barangay Bulusan in Kalumpit. The project, which was worth nearly 100 million pesos, was handled by St. Timothy Construction Corporation. Despite the amount, the president found the project lacking.
Meron kaming mga diver na sinisid sa ilalim at nakita talaga very manipis lahat. Simento, hindi pantay-pantay. Basta hindi magandang trabaho. Talagang bibigay. Kaya bibigay na nga. Kaya kailangan nila sa piece bakit ito. Pero ang hirap dahil ipapakita natin ito. What possible excuse do they have for not doing this? Hindi ko maisip.
Dredging talaga.
Tapos, ito pa. Lahat ng flood control may kasamang dredging at saka desiltation. Anong sabi niyo sa akin, Chairman? Minsan hindi ka pa nakakita ng desiltation dito kasama sa kontrata yun.
St. Timothy was among the 15 contractors identified by the president for bagging the lion's share of the country's flood management budget over the past 3 years, worth roughly 100 billion pesos. GCash will cut access to online gaming via its GLive feature this Saturday, August 16. This is in compliance with the Bangko Sentral's order to suspend in-app gaming access in mobile payment apps and websites. GCash says users may withdraw funds from their gaming accounts back to their GCash wallets through GLive only until the suspension takes effect. After this, users with remaining funds can only access this directly through the gaming merchant's website. Fuel prices are projected to go up next week with the exception of diesel. Jetty Petroleum President Leo Bellas said gasoline prices are forecast to rise by 40 to 60 centavos. Meanwhile, diesel prices are set to go down by 70 to 90 centavos. He cites a decline in diesel demand amid rising productivity. But seasonal summer demand for gasoline remains strong. Car sales in the Philippines slowed last month, but the industry's long-term momentum hasn't run out of gas just yet. Our mobility correspondent, G. Baroga, has the details.
It was a slower ride for the local car industry in July. After picking up speed in June, overall sales dropped by more than 5% last month. Only around 38,000 vehicles were sold, down by around 2,200 from the month before. The biggest factor is the noticeable dip in commercial vehicle sales. These are the vans, pickups, and light trucks that usually carry the bulk of monthly sales, but in July, they dropped by 10%. One likely reason, pickups classified under commercial vehicles just got pricier. The excise tax exemption on them was lifted starting July 1st, as the Capital Markets Efficiency Promotion Act kicked in. Sales of light commercial vehicles and utility models also went downhill with double-digit drop in LCVs, but not all the numbers were gloomy. Passenger cars actually had a good month, up 17% from June. That's over 8,000 units sold as more buyers returned to compact cars and sedans. Even so, the big picture remains stable. Year-to-date sales are still up by 1%. Meanwhile, sales of electrified vehicles cooled slightly, down 11% month-on-month. But it's a mixed bag. Plug-in hybrids soared more than 200%, hybrids edged up 2%, but battery electric vehicles took a big hit, down 73%. The Chamber of Automotive Manufacturers of the Philippines, or CAMPI, says bad weather likely disrupted showroom traffic and deliveries in July. Still, the industry players are staying optimistic. Demand for commercial vehicles remains strong and passenger cars are showing signs of bouncing back. In a statement, CAMPI President Romel Gutierrez says the market remains strong underneath the monthly shifts. He's confident the second half of the year will keep the momentum going. Despite an 8% monthly sales dip, Toyota, backed by the Bilyonaryo T family, still rules the road with a 48% market share. With new models coming in and buyers adjusting to the changes, the local auto scene may just be gearing up for a better run ahead. For BNC Mobility, G. Baroga.
Bananas remain one of the Philippines' top agri-exports, but industry leaders warn the country is losing its edge. Senator Amy Marcos is calling on the government to prioritize banana research and production to keep up with regional competitors. The president's sister raised concern over the growing presence of rivals like Vietnam in key markets such as China and Japan. She says the industry is grappling with high production costs and unfavorable trade agreements. Marcos is pushing for more free trade deals and greater government support, pointing out that Cavendish banana exports alone support over 300,000 jobs and 42 billion pesos in annual wages. We're taking a short break. More business stories are up next. You're watching Business Brief. You're back on Business Brief. Tim Hortons is here to stay. The company made the assurance in a Facebook message to Bilyonaryo news channel. This amid online speculation it is shutting down operations in the Philippines. It said its commitment to serving the Filipino community remains steadfast. It is also continuously exploring ways to enhance customers' coffee experience. Public-private partnerships in the country continues to rise as a government hastens the approval process. Let's get the details from Sujin Kim. She joins us now on the line. Go ahead, Sujin.
Mai, the Asian Development Bank reports that the Philippines' public-private partnership sector is entering a new expansion phase backed by the 2023 PPP Code and 2024 implementing rules and regulations. This as the ADB launches their PPP Monitor for the Philippines this afternoon at their headquarters. The 2025 PPP Monitor shows the country has closed over 300 PPP projects from 1990 to 2023, mostly in energy, transport, and water and wastewater. ADB says the new legal framework will cut transaction costs, streamline approvals, and provide greater certainty for investors. The report lists over 500 indicators covering national, sectoral, and local PPP markets in 12 sectors, including roads, railports, airports, energy, water, ICT, and social infrastructure. ADB warns the Philippines still faces a large infrastructure funding gap widened by the pandemic. It says well-structured PPPs are crucial to meeting infrastructure demand while easing fiscal pressure on the government. With an investment-grade credit rating, higher public spending, and growing foreign investments, the country is among the region's most attractive PPP markets. ADB cites the 2024 financial close of the Ninoy Aquino International Airport upgrade as a flagship example of a successful PPP delivery. The outlook, according to ADB, is that the Philippines will remain one of the region's most attractive markets with a pipeline of national and local projects that can drive sustainable growth and improve citizens' quality of life. And those are latest updates from Mandaluyong City. Back to you, Mai.
Thank you for that report, Sujin Kim. DigiPlus Interactive Corporation posted a net income of 4.20 billion pesos in the second quarter. In a disclosure, the digital entertainment provider led by Bilyonaryo Eusebio Tanco said this is 30% higher than the 3.23 billion earned in the same period last year. The growth was driven by its retail game segment. Philinvest Development Corporation's attributable net income jumped to 7.4 billion pesos in the first half of the year. In a disclosure, the firm, led by the Bilyonaryo Gotianon family, said this is 34% higher than the 5.5 billion pesos posted in the same period last year. It said growth was broad-based, with banking, real estate, power, hospitality, and sugar all posting double-digit profit increases. Bilyonaryo Andrew Tad's Alliance Global records an attributable net profit that climbed 25% to 5.3 billion pesos in the second quarter. In a disclosure, the conglomerate said its consolidated revenues reached 45.3 billion pesos. The growth was driven by its real estate and tourism segments. Two new ports are reportedly set to be built at the Panama Canal. Reuters reports consultations will soon begin about launching a competitive tender in the first quarter of next year. The ports are part of an expansion plan organized by the Waterways Administration, aiming to increase services related to cargo handling, including transshipment. There are plans to invest some $8.5 billion in the next 5 years to update and expand its infrastructure.
We are seeing enormous demand for port facilities and terminals. I believe this is an opportunity for the country. The Panama Canal has the knowledge, technology, and capacity to develop projects of this type, and we believe we will work on that.
The Energy Regulatory Commission vows to resolve as soon as possible thousands of pending cases. These include the rate reset of private distribution utilities and capital expenditure applications. ERC Chairperson Francis Saturnino Juan said each commissioner will serve as oversight head for specific services. This will ensure that all cases are acted upon with or within the target timelines. Philippine shares return in positive territory in the final trading day of the week. The PSE index ended higher by nearly 0.4% to close at 63.15, finishing the day as the 8th best performer in Asia. Among the sectoral indices, only mining and oil ended in the red, with industrial rising the most at 1%. But decliners outpaced advancers 109 to 83. Total value turnover reached 10.3 billion pesos. Week on week, the PSCI fell by almost 0.4%. Majority of the day's most active stocks ended in the green, with Bloomberry rising the most at nearly 10%. At the foreign exchange market, the peso is currently trading at 57.18 against the greenback, down from its previous close of 56.95. That's a wrap for today's Business Brief. I'm Mai Rodriguez. Join us again next week as we bring you the stories that help you plan your next big, bold moves in business, only here on the Bilyonaryo News Channel. I'll see you then.